Very good afternoon to you and welcome to News Desk. My name is Fatia Mohamed Noor. We begin here in Nairobi, where the Law Society of Kenya has been holding peaceful protests against what it terms as the executive's threat to the rule of law. Our reporter David Muthoka has been on that bit and brings us the latest.
Well, we are coming to you live outside the Supreme Court of Kenya, where the Law Society of Kenya members have congregated after a 2-hour peaceful protest against President William Ruto's attacks on the judiciary. And right now, I'm joined by a battery of lawyers who've taken part in the march led by the LSK Vice President. Madam Vice President, as we start with you, just talk to us about how the day has been, whether enough number of lawyers has turned up for this march, and whether you are satisfied with the message that you had to put across.
So I want to say this morning we started quite well. We had representation from the Senior Counsel Bar. We had representation and a statement read from the Vice President of the East African Law Society, apart from ourselves, and we have turned out quite well. We have members from both the senior and the young bar that have attended this rally. And our position is quite clear, that the rule of law must be obeyed. We are saying that the three arms of government consist of the executive, the parliament, and the judiciary. And all we are asking is that the head of state to adhere to the rule of law. He swore his oath of office, saying that he would uphold the rule of law, he will protect the constitution. And that is what we expect, that he must protect the constitution of Kenya. What we are seeing is that the president is castigating, naming, and tagging the judiciary as corrupt. And not that we are saying that there could not be elements of some that are corrupt, but there's a process under the constitution that we ought to follow. So why does he feel that he cannot follow that process? Is he telling us that he's above the law? And we are saying no one is above the law. The three arms of government work independently and there are checks and balances. And so we are saying Parliament must also respect the rule of law. We are aware that Parliament wants to proceed with the public participation, irrespective of there being court orders. This is not a UK parliamentary supremacy system. This is a different system where the three arms of government are independent and there are checks and balances on all the three arms of government. And so the Law Society is saying that we will protect the judiciary, we will stand for the bar, because even us as advocates, we come before these courts. This is our halls of honor. And therefore we must respect where we work, where we practice. This is our home, and we'll stand and fight for our home, because the judiciary remains the last front for the people of Kenya. We're telling the executive, you have the role that you're supposed to play that role. However, you cannot purport to start giving directions to the judiciary. We fear that it may bring back an era whereby the red phone comes back. We are not going to allow another system where the Moi era is coming back to this country. We want an independent judiciary, a judiciary that can speak to the rule of law. We know that the president has, from time immemorial, said as a joke that maneno ni matatu. But now what we are seeing is that this maneno ni matatu is actually being actualized. And we do not want a situation whereby all the gains and the freedoms that these members of the country have gained over the years will be eroded. We are saying that as the Law Society of Kenya, we shall not relent, and that we are watching Parliament, and we will take all the action that we need, particularly our members that are coming out to obey the rule of law. To disobey, I mean the rule of law. We will take the right action at the right time. We are putting you on notice. You must respect the rule of law. As parliamentarians, you make the law, and so if you cannot respect the laws that you're making, then which country are we going to? We must remind the president that even investors that he's seeking to bring to this country are interested in a country where the judiciary can pronounce itself and the laws are obeyed. People want to see where the disputes will be handled expeditiously, but at the same time, the rule of law will be upheld. No investor wants to come to a country where there is anarchy, where there is no respect of the rule of law. So for the sake of this country, for the sake of the people of Kenya, we're asking the president, step back, respect the rule of law. Let's work as one country. The Law Society will continue to uphold the rule of law, and we ask that you do the same. Thank you.
Allow me to take two more opinions from the lawyers here. And as I speak to you, sir, and then I'll conclude with him. We've seen senior counsel join you, among them Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, leader Eugene Wamalwa. Yes. How big a boost is it to see senior members, senior colleagues join you for this match?
This match is not a match for young lawyers or mid lawyers or senior lawyers. It is a match that lawyers have taken up to say that enough is enough. And even the constitution of this match and the demographic of this match portrays that it cuts across the membership of the Law Society. Although the presence of the senior counsels today, and there were about 5 or 6, if my count was right, is that it makes an emphasis because they hold that institutional memory of the Law Society and the participation of the Law Society in the democratic space that we enjoy now and the democratic space that we enjoy post the 2010 Constitution. Where we are getting to, or where the future looks, if we continue this way, is a past that we must avoid because it is a scary past. It stems that a person of the stature of the President of the Republic of Kenya, who at one point had a lot of trust in the judicial system in Kenya, it even saw the birth of his leadership of this country through the Supreme Court petition. The trust that he had then, where did it go? But as we are making emphasis, we are saying that even though what he says may be true, or if it is true, there is a legal process to undertake it. It is not just the roadside statements. Those roadside statements are extremely dangerous. Why are they dangerous? Because if the person of the presidency says that, then you can imagine what a lay person will say, that they are not going to abide by court orders. The state of anarchy, in fact, you are rather to have a dictator than have a state of anarchy, because in a state of dictatorship, there is order. Albeit in a state of dictatorship, but in a state of anarchy, even that order that he seems to want to achieve through an improvement of a cheaper housing infrastructure is not possible to achieve. So we are just saying it is as simple as allow the arms of government to operate freely and independently. But if you note, the only arm of government that actually is secured under the law is the judiciary. The executive arm usually goes back for a mandate after 5 years. The National Assembly and the Senate usually goes back for a fresh mandate. But the judiciary usually stays constant. It is put that way as a check system because judges cannot be intimidated.
Ahead of the beginning of the protests, outgoing president of the Law Society of Kenya, Eric Theory, led with his comments. Right, we'll be getting back to that in just a bit, but let's take a look at another one where the Vice President of the East African Law Society, Ramadan Abubakar, had his comments also. Let's listen.
In recent weeks, we have witnessed an escalation of attacks on Kenya's judiciary through utterances by various leaders, including the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. These concerning utterances erode judicial integrity and independence and paint as evil those who legally use courts to challenge government excesses. The East Africa Law Society is deeply concerned about these persistent attacks, which also violate the principle of separation of powers and judicial independence as enshrined in the Kenya's constitution, as well as in various international instruments, including the United Nations Basic Principles on the Independence of the Judiciary, the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the African Charter, and the Commonwealth Principles of the three arms of government. We joined the Law Society of Kenya, the Judicial Service Commission, and the Kenyan people in condemning the attacks and urge government officials to refrain from antagonizing the operations of the judiciary with the cornerstone, which is the cornerstone of any just society. The attacks also have the unintended consequence of eroding confidence in the judicial system. It is our assertion that the rule of law is essential for the progress and prosperity of any constitutional democracy, Kenya included. Where grievances are raised against any official in the judicial system, we urge that the same be addressed fairly, procedurally, and within the existing legal frameworks. In solidarity with our sister bar, the Law Society of Kenya, we urge all our members from Kenya to participate in the peaceful protest organized by the society. We shall, as a regional bar, continue to champion and defend the rule of law. Human rights, good governance, accountability, and independence of the judiciary in Kenya and across the East African region, signed by the President of the East Africa Law Society.